I think it's more lacking for adults with dyspraxia. There seems to be less awareness of it in the workplace, and less ability with sort of a lot of health and safety stuff for them to modify their policies and procedures to accommodate someone that perhaps doesn't think the same way as someone that's typically developing.
It really depends on the person. So for the adults I have seen, most of them end up coming to see me because something's not working. It doesn't prevent people from doing most things. Brain surgery may not be on the cards, but it's not on the cards for most of us anyway. It just means that people have to work harder to achieve what they want to achieve because their body won't always do what their brain wants it to do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how I felt about it having a name or whatever. I should note I was also diagnosed with dyslexia at the same time, and for me it's been a kind of conjoined issue, but I felt very frustrated about how it's affected me organisationally and how I struggled through school. So I'm not sure about how I felt about it as a diagnosis, but I did definitely feel very frustrated about it in general.
The school was concerned that he was not fitting into the classroom, and they suggested that he might be deaf, and he had a series of tests, and he was seen by the Child Development Service and a paediatrician and diagnosed with dyspraxia. I think dealing with the teachers that were responsible for Michael's learning all the way through, that was a challenge. Because a lot of people didn't really understand, even though the education was available and the communication was there, they didn't really understand what dyspraxia meant. And so the expectations that they put on, and particularly at tertiary and secondary level, was just doomed to failure in a lot of cases, because it was just like, well, keep a diary, just record them, just do the homework, and they couldn't understand why that was just such a big ask.
I'd say for even their education outcomes, their career paths, their lives are determined more by the environments we put them in and the expectations we put on them. Right. So one of the things I would like to see very different for kids with dyspraxia and other learning differences is that we set the classrooms up differently. I mean, the kids I know with dyspraxia struggle in class because the teachers don't understand that the children need organisation and structure. And as the kids get older and they're expected to be more independent, that organisation and structure is taken away and the children with dyspraxia just fall over. I
mean, I'd say it's affected pretty much every aspect of my life. I mean, because of, well, the big thing is organisational, and that's kind of comes, that's sort of with anything you do, really. But I mean, not driving has been a big thing with that. And
so you're not able to drive?
No, I mean, I've had lessons and I have been in the car and driven around a bit, but in terms of just like being on the road, and my left and right's pretty good now, but still sometimes it can get wrong, and I didn't want to, you know, it's like if you hit the gas instead of brakes or something, and it's just, especially if you're on the road and you're surrounded by cars and you have to sort of keep in line and go at speed, and that just very nerve-wracking. And, yeah.
And I believe... Michael, tell us how you first discovered painting. You're obviously very good at it.
So I first discovered painting sort of almost by chance. I was doing photography at school,
Right.
And I went into art school through photography, and in the painting course there, I just go with the flow of that a bit. It's like, all right, I'm going to lay down a strip of foil, and sometimes I crunch it up to get the crinkles, and then sometimes it rips, or it rips when I'm gluing it down, and you know, it's navigating chance, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, it's striking that balance. And actually, I think that's actually relevant to the dyspraxia as well, because I can be uncoordinated. I can miss, you know, with the paint drips. It can turn out completely different from my intention. And in this particular style of painting, that doesn't necessarily matter. That doesn't mean it's ruined. You just have to change it up. You know, you have to embrace it.
It can actually add to it.
Yes, absolutely.
People with dyspraxia just work differently, and often what that means is they think differently as well. So most of the kids I see with dyspraxia, if we're doing an activity I'll start the activity with them, and as long as they're doing the movements I want them to do, they can follow their imagination with it. The way they think about things and their creativity can be just off the charts amazing, but they can't tie their shoelaces.
I think because he's so sure of himself as an artist, that his communication and his interactions with people in an artistic way at a gallery, or it could be at a gallery that he hasn't even had anything formally to do with, he can go into an exhibition opening and talk with anybody about what he is seeing in a very knowledgeable way, almost like an art critic, because he does know his body of work, and he knows the background is all there, and from his art history and his training.
Are you a happy person?
Yes and no. I'd say, yeah, I can be very happy sometimes, and
Right.
maybe I'm more up and down than level, not in a kind of manic way, but yeah. I'm very happy with what I've achieved, but I'm aware that I've still got a very long way to go.
Never give up. Keep going.
You're good
You
enough.
can do it. You're good enough. Yeah.
Yes. Michael, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Awesome.